Welcome back to another episode of Sal and Pal Stay at Home and Watch Movies. I'm here with my friend Touly. Say hi, Touly.
Hi, everyone.
And today we're going to be reviewing Bloodshot. And just a fair warning, there's going to be spoilers up ahead, so you've been warned. Ray Garrison, a slain soldier, is reanimated with superpowers. First of all, I'm going to start off with my pros. It is great seeing a Valiant comic being turned into a movie, and that being Valiant's first character to get a movie. Next, we have the cast power, some coming from other superhero movies. First up, we have Vin Diesel, Isa Gonzalez, we have Guy Pearce, and more. But let me focus on Guy Pearce since we have reviewed Memento before, and in this movie it's funny because it's a script flip. So in this one he manipulates Vin Diesel with the memories of his wife, versus in Memento he is the one being stringed along with the memories of his wife. Well, next point is I can say that this movie was filmed in native 8K resolution with the Panavision DX-L2 camera, which means it lends well to post-production and tampering after recording. That means that you can see this in other formats coming out after. And now I guess I'm gonna move on to my cons. First off, why even bother recording or filming in 8K if the story was bad? I mean, is this still an issue with comic books being adapted into movies? Seriously, if it means making your own story based off the comic books, please develop the character's backstory. Don't just give us a taste and then move on. Case in point, focusing on KT, Jimmy Dalton, and Tibbs, the RST soldiers, explained why Jimmy is an asshole, why Tibbs is a loner, and KT has remorse. I mean, is it so hard to explain their backstories and then get us to feel closer to these characters? Also explain why or how Dr. Harding had his fallout with Nick Barris and Martin Axe, his ex-partners. Or here, let me do the work for you. Have Super Android Soldier Vin Diesel hack the networks and find out for himself the truth behind RST and Dr. Harding and the truth behind the whole situation. But instead, you take Vin Diesel and keep writing his Fast and the Furious character cookie cutter mold down to the truck that he drives. Seriously, come on, mix it up a bit. Make him a different character versus the hot-headed, I'm not going to listen to your logic even if it means my body is falling apart, because if it is, I am going to leave it up to you to fix me at the end attitude. Example, when Dr. Harding tried to contact him through the intercom to warn him about the EMP that was going to be used on him, and Vin Diesel had muted him. Why would he do that? Or when Wiggins at the end warned him about not pushing himself too hard or his body because he was low on energy. I would figure that Vin Diesel, as an ex-soldier, would have enough knowledge to take cover, sneak around, take down people with other means versus a juggernaut mode. To wrap this up, this movie had bad story, bad characters, bad character development, and at some point, bad special effects. It looked to me like if an intern did those special effects. So I'm going to throw it to my friend Touly and see how he saw this movie and what grade he gave this movie.
I didn't read the comic books. Had no knowledge about them prior to watching the movie, other than knowing that the movie was based off of something. Yeah, I do agree with a lot of the things Sal said as it relates to how I feel about the film. Some recognizable actors and actresses in this film, definitely. Sal mentioned Van Diesel, but for me, definitely Guy Pearce being in it because Memento is one of my favorite films of all time. And for him to play this role that Sal mentioned, where it's kind of like the polar opposite of his character from Memento, it was an interesting experience. But, other than like the recognizable names who are in this film and the story itself being rather generic, at least it was easy to follow if you look at it from like a revenge type of story. But then you throw in the whole nanotechnology and how that enables Vin Diesel's character to be able to manipulate technology and get these information. And then it gets, I don't want to say messy, but it kind of lost me there, I would say. I would have rather just them try to keep it just simple and just let it just play out as a journey for vengeance. I mean, I guess in the end, Vin Diesel's character did get what he wanted. I would say that, again, not having read the comic books, at least there was a twist that got me to kind of give props to the film. It was enough to just get me to think, oh, okay, that's kind of neat. All right, I could buy that. At least there was some sort of like finesse, if you want to put it that way, that the film kind of had there. Yeah, other than that, yeah, the characters themselves, not a lot of development. I guess when it comes to like superhero movies and stuff, that plays a huge part in terms of me buying into the character. And the villains as well. Like the villains are as much as a part of this dynamic, how they interact with one another, how they grow as a person throughout the film. Unfortunately, Guy Pearce's character didn't really get to me in terms of being the villain. His character was pretty bland, in a way nonsensical, because he was starting to have doubts about KT, who was played by Isa Gonzalez, and for him to completely forget about her potentially betraying him after acknowledging that she was starting to tread down this path, which allowed KT to eventually lead Wilfred Wiggins, the child prodigy of technology or whatever, to do what he did in order to get Vin Diesel's character up and running and go after Guy Pearce's character in the end, right? So again, for being a villain, for being like, the head of a billionaire corporation that came up with these nanotechnology stuff, for him to overlook something like that, I don't know, like, he makes a pretty bad guy. I would say this was one of those films where I was okay with it in the end. Did I enjoy it? Of course, not to the degree of like the Dark Knight series, the Spider-Man series overall. It was definitely one of those films where if I had to just shut off my brain and just consume what was in front of me, it was okay. Definitely, again, not highly praiseworthy content, but when the movie was done, I was like, okay, the movie was about an hour and 45 minutes. It didn't go over 2 hours. Some of the transitions were rough there, but I get the idea. I wish they could have maybe, added a little more finesse there as well. I feel like the character development in this film was extremely lacking and left me wanting a bit more. In the end, I'm going to give the film a 5 out of 10. I was leaning toward a 5.5 because normally this is a score where I give to films where I'm okay with, and I was neither really high nor very low after watching it. I was like, okay, sure, turn off my brain, just consume what is in front of me. I get what's happening. It is what it is.
So yeah, I think for me, it's going to be the same thing. My concern was about the character development. It's the same thing with me. I was aware of the comics, but I did not read the comics. So, the story, is it fixable? It is fixable with a few modifications. You can basically change some things, add some backstories to some characters, maybe even make this a first movie and have a secondary movie. Maybe have him find out about his wife at the end. That's like the same thing that happened in other movies, that the character basically finds his goal and at the end he basically lets her go because it's for the better cause and he goes to fight another day. So for this movie, I want to say the same thing as Touly. Was it enjoyable? To a certain degree, shut off your brain, just watch it. Is there bad things about the movie? There is. Were they fixable? It could have been. Could we have come up with better ideas? Yes. But my final score is going to be probably the same thing as Touly, 5 out of 10. I guess this wraps up the review for Bloodshot. Please join us next time where we're going to review Little Women.
Joe, would you like to dance with me?
I can't because...
Because of what?
You won't tell?
Never.
I scorched my dress, see? There. And Meg told me to keep still so no one would see it. You can laugh if you want to. It's funny, I know.
Please like, comment, and subscribe. You can find our social media links below. And like always, keep watching movies.